The Federal Reserve and the Bank of England agreed in December of 2012 to seize depositor savings rather than to let the banks fail and be reorganized under new and honest leadership. This was repeated in the Canadian budget plans. In Cyprus, the EU and the IMF tried to convince us it was okay to take money from Russian Jewish criminals. But the Cypriot banks let the Russians take their money out of the 200 branches in Russia that never closed. The money was taken from the Cypriot people and from British pensioners. Now the EU, the UK, Canada, and the Federal Reserve are eyeing your bank account, your IRA, your 401k, and your pension. The joke is on you. But this stunt does not go away when someone says April Fools. The F-22 costs $361 million each. It asphyxiates its pilots. The F-35 cannot operate in the rain or in electrical storms. It will not survive combat. The CBC's Brian Stewart called it a global wrecking ball for its cost overruns. Everyone is cutting back on deliveries, so the cost per plane should be over $300 million. It would be far cheaper to buy that new Iranian stealth plane. Another joke on you. I hope you didn't think that your government wanted you to win World War III. As Goldfinger said to James Bond,
"No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die."
Paul Singer paid 20% of face value for Greek bonds and got 100% plus interest. If your government was not a joke, they would have been buying up deeply discounted bonds to reduce tax increases and austerity cuts. But your government is a joke, so that did not happen. Great Britain has allowed its citizens to use habeas corpus in court since 1305. No more. Kenneth Clark, the minister without portfolio, has managed to get the House of Commons to pass secret courts legislation. The bill would make sure that any excessively angry depositor whose life savings had been plundered by Mr. Clark's fellow Bilderbergers is thrown into jail without a lawyer or due process, so he never see the light of day again. The UK is following Obama and the NDAA, which also denies the Bill of Rights to anyone who gets angry about their bank deposits and pensions being stolen or their job being sent overseas. Anger is bad. You might change your government if you and your friends were allowed to express your anger. Why don't our governments buy personal debts ranging from 10 to 50% on the dollar from collection agencies to forgive them as a first step towards personal debt cancellation? The greatest source of personal debts of Americans is unpaid medical bills. Your government is a joke. The Obamacare bill was written by a former healthcare lobbyist on Senator Max Baucus's staff to make sure you and your government went bankrupt paying for healthcare. Al-Qaeda is the official explanation as to why your genitals must be groped at the airport. But Al-Qaeda did not do 911. Israel did it with the help of traitors inside the U.S. government. In fact, Al-Qaeda helped NATO steal 144 tons of Libyan gold and $98 billion in cash. The IMF loaned that money at interest so they could get things going again after they had been robbed by NATO. Al-Qaeda has been active in Mali, so France has invaded that country. Mali exports enough gold to repay the Germans over a period of 7 years for the gold stolen from the Bank of England and the Federal Reserve. Now France has invaded the Central African Republic, which has gold and diamonds. One more nation can now be paid back for the gold that has been stolen. I guess the one after that will have to take diamonds for their stolen gold. After that, it will be your bank account and then freshly printed Federal Reserve notes. Why is hyperinflation the last choice, you ask? Because the bankers don't want the money stolen from you to be devalued too sharply before they can unload it for something else of real value. Churches are run by the government, so they too have become a joke. The Southern Baptists used to be famous for being extremely conservative. Now they have endorsed repeal of the Second Amendment. Cyprus has 1.1 million people and very strict gun control. Imagine looting American bank accounts to give the money to billionaires. Imagine what 310 million Americans could do with 350 million guns. That is why the corporate-owned media is pushing gun control. That is also why it is more likely that one day the bankers will say, "We're so sorry, but a nasty Iranian computer virus ate your deposits. I can loan you some money at interest so you can buy something to eat. That is, provided you still have a job." We have to protect our depositors, so you will understand that we cannot loan our money out to just anyone. And who runs the government? Check out who is arrested for running drugs across the border and who isn't. MI6 and CIA never have been arrested. MI5 runs plane loads of drugs into Northern Ireland, and the IRA and their Protestant nemesis, the Ulster Defense men, are there to unload their share of the drugs. The U.S. government wants to stay in Afghanistan until 2024, so they can make a few $1 trillion more off the heroin trade. That the average age of a first-time heroin user in America is 14 and a half does not concern the elite. Also of no concern to them is the fact that 100,000 people a year worldwide die of heroin overdoses. Since Obama's 2009 inauguration, 90% of Americans lost income. The 1% increased their income on average by $625,000, and the 1% of the 1% increased average incomes by $18,700,000 per year. The 1% hide $21 to $32 trillion in tax havens. The U.S. top 7 banks hide over $10 trillion. Don't you wish the world will wake up from the nightmare George Soros, Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan, and the Rothschilds have been dreaming for us?